It is just past sunrise in the pine flatwoods north of Mobile, Alabama. Dew still clings to the palmetto, and the morning light is low and gold across the clearing. Biologist Tracy Langkilde kneels in the sand, watching a fence lizard do something it should not be able to do. A dozen fire ants are climbing its legs, and the lizard does not freeze. It shakes them off and runs, on legs longer than its grandmother's. Nobody taught it that. This insect is Solenopsis invicta, the red imported fire ant. It arrived in Mobile, Alabama during the 1930s, hidden inside the soil ballast of cargo ships sailing from South America. Without any quarantine to stop them, the ants quickly expanded across the region. By 1953, a United States Department of Agriculture survey tracked their spread across 102 counties in 10 states. In their native South American range, natural competitors keep their populations in check. In North America, those environmental limits vanished, allowing local ant densities to skyrocket far beyond their home range. A single mature colony can hold up to 250,000 workers. They attack in coordinated swarms, injecting their prey with solenopsin, a burning alkaloid venom. For the native wildlife of the American South, this newly arrived predator brought constant, lethal danger. By the mid-1950s, local efforts could no longer contain the ants' march. The response from Washington was massive and institutional. In July 1957, Congress approved a $2.4 million appropriation to launch a federal state eradication campaign. By 1958, a federal quarantine restricted the movement of soil, nursery stock, and hay from infested areas. The strategy was absolute chemical warfare. Planes and tractors blanketed counties with heptachlor, followed by a new chemical bait, Mirex. The bait relied on a simple biological vulnerability. Workers mixed the toxic Mirex with soybean oil and applied it to corn grits. Foraging ants, drawn to the oil, carried the poisoned grits into the heart of their nests to feed the queen, neutralizing the colony from within. This program grew into one of the largest pesticide campaigns in history, covering more than 132 million acres. Before the campaign ended, the federal government spent over $50 million on Mirex alone, gambling everything on total eradication. The chemical onslaught backfired. When Mirex failed to kill a nest completely, the surviving ants panicked. Threatened colonies relocated by moving their queen, while partial kills split single nests into multiple aggressive new colonies. Instead of destroying the enemy, the poison multiplied the army. By 1970, the infestation covered 115 million acres. Worse, the chemical began accumulating in the food web. Mirex was linked to cancer and placental transfer in animals, eventually breaking down into the toxic pollutant capone and contaminating the James River. Under heavy environmental pressure, the government banned Mirex in 1978. Decades later, USDA and APHIS turned to biological warfare, releasing South American phorid decapitating flies in 2001. The fly's larva devours the ant's brain, causing its head to fall off. But these parasites only disrupted foraging. They could not wipe out the colonies. Today, the red imported fire ant infests over 130 million acres across 13 states. Texas alone loses over $1.2 billion annually, part of a national toll reaching $6.7 billion. The global invicta database tracks their historical damage at over $51 billion. Nearly a century of human engineering has failed to contain the march. But where human systems broke down, one of the ant's primary native prey was quietly forcing its own breakthrough. Biologist Tracy Langkilde traveled to the pine flatwoods of Alabama to observe how the eastern fence lizard survived in areas overrun by fire ants for decades. She compared these lizards with populations from Tennessee and Arkansas, where fire ants had not yet invaded. When exposed to the ants, the contrast was absolute. The unexposed lizards from Tennessee and Arkansas relied on their ancestral defense. They froze, flattened their bodies against the ground, and closed their eyes, a strategy designed to hide from birds, but completely useless against a swarming colony. Within seconds, they were overwhelmed. For an adult fence lizard, just 12 stings deliver a lethal dose of venom, causing death in under a minute. But the Alabama lizards did not freeze. Instead of waiting to be paralyzed, they began to twitch, vigorously shaking their bodies to flick the invading insects away before running for safety. This swift response saved their lives. It was a complete departure from millions of years of evolutionary history, presenting a startling mystery. Had these lizards simply learned to fight back, or was something altering their biology? To find out, researchers measured thousands of lizard hind legs in the field. The data revealed a stark physical change. In counties where fire ants had reigned for decades, fence lizards grew hind legs that were significantly longer than those in uninvaded regions, averaging a 4.3% increase in relative length. This was no temporary developmental stretch. Mechanically, longer limbs act as superior levers. They generate more power during the high-frequency body shakes, throwing swarming ants off the lizard's skin before they can sting. Through this rapid morphological shift, a modern lizard now sprints and shakes on legs longer than its grandmother's, adapting its very skeleton to outrun a lethal invader. A 2024 study published in Nature Communications mapped this rapid evolutionary shift by sequencing the complete genomes of 420 fence lizards across 3 distinct populations. The resulting molecular data identified nearly 47 million genetic variants, revealing a massive genomic divide between the groups. Lizards from the fire ant exposed population carried 24.7 million genetic variants exclusive to their lineage. By contrast, the 2 unexposed populations carried only 6 to 7 million exclusive variants each. Within the DNA of the exposed lizards, clear signatures of natural selection were highly concentrated in genes regulating immune function, growth pathways, and physical body development, including the specific alleles that produce longer limb bones. These genomic signals confirm that the longer legs and defensive behaviors are heritable, permanent adaptations. While individual lizards learn to avoid threats, these population-wide physical shifts represent rapid heritable evolution. Driven by the constant threat of a toxic invader, this genetic overhaul occurred in fewer than 100 generations. The eastern fence lizard did not simply alter its behavior, it systematically reshaped its own genetic code to survive. In Georgia, researcher Derek tracked the threat to lizard populations using fenced field plots. Where researchers lowered fire ant numbers, the recruitment of young fence lizards was 1.6 times higher than in untreated plots, proving the intense demographic pressure these invaders exert. Yet, survival operates at 2 different speeds. While genetic changes reshape populations over generations, individual lizards adapt within their own lifetimes. Biologist Catherine Tylen discovered that exposed lizards actively prime their immune systems. Ingesting dead fire ants sparks an immediate rise in white blood cells, while surviving non-lethal stings triggers a surge in fire ant-specific antibodies, enabling a stronger, broader physiological defense. Behavioral adjustments match this rapid personal training. Naive hatchlings initially eat fire ants instinctively, but painful encounters quickly teach them lifelong avoidance. This immediate, real-time priming works in tandem with slow, inherited, evolutionary shifts, tackling the threat from both ends of the biological spectrum. But this rapid evolutionary shift is not a free pass. Longer legs and erratic shaking disrupt their natural camouflage. making them easy targets for hawks and snakes. Even when they escape, many sustain lasting physical injuries. In envenomation studies, 34% of exposed lizards died weeks later, compared to 12% of controls. A delayed mortality scientists still cannot explain. Meanwhile, adapted populations consume fewer harmless native ants, altering local food webs. Coexistence demands a taxing biological toll, reshaping not just the lizard's skeleton, but its entire ecological footprint. Where human chemistry and billions of dollars failed, a 6-inch lizard quietly adapts. As global ecosystems face unprecedented disruption, nature continues to write its own survival guide, one evolutionary leap at a time. Subscribe now to see how the natural world solves its greatest challenges.